Why Stoics never chase and always attract respect. Have you ever noticed how the harder you chase someone's approval, the faster it seems to slip away? You push, you plead, you contort yourself to fit into a mold you think will win their attention, and somehow it never works. The more you stretch out your hand to grasp it, the more it retreats into the shadows. Respect, admiration, love. These things are like wild animals. Run after them, and they bolt. Stand still in quiet confidence, and they may come near. That is why the Stoic never chases. He knows that the frantic pursuit of honor is the very thing that drives it away. Instead, he holds his ground, mastering himself, and in that stillness others see strength. They sense a power that does not need to be proven, and respect follows without being asked. You live in a world that tells you to hustle endlessly, to sell yourself, to network, to plead for recognition. But what has this desperate energy produced? Crowds of anxious souls refreshing their screens for likes. Leaders who boast so loudly that their words ring hollow. Lovers who cling so tightly they strangle what they desire. The Stoics saw through this long ago. Chasing is slavery, for you are placing your worth in the hands of another. When you run after someone's respect, you proclaim with every step, "I do not have it within me. I need you to complete me." And the world smells that desperation. It recoils. You become like a beggar rattling a cup, hoping someone will drop in a coin of praise. Now imagine the opposite, a man who stands unshaken, not because he has no need of companionship or recognition, but because he knows who he is even without it. He speaks when truth demands it, but not to impress. He acts from principle, not from hunger. He does not post to be admired, but to share what he believes to be right. His silence is not weakness, but strength contained. People notice this, often without knowing why. They are drawn to him, not because he chases them, but because he does not. His dignity creates a magnetic pull. This is the paradox the Stoics mastered. By letting go of the chase, you attract all that is worth having. So I ask you, what is it you are chasing today? The smile of someone who does not see you? The applause of a crowd that forgets you tomorrow? The title that will be stripped away when fortune shifts? You can spend your years sprinting after shadows, or you can stop, stand tall, tend to your soul. The Stoic tells you, if you anchor yourself in virtue, if you master your own desires, respect will come as the shadow follows the body. You need not call it, you need not chase it. Simply live with integrity and watch as respect walks to you. To understand why this truth matters, we must first see the nature of chasing. Chasing is not merely about running after people. It is the deep hunger for validation that drives so many of our actions. Look at your daily life. How often do you do things not because you believe they are right, but because you hope they will be noticed? You polish your words, not for clarity, but for applause. You buy clothes not for warmth, but for attention. You nod along in conversations you disagree with, because you fear standing apart. This is chasing, the quiet desperation to be accepted at any cost. And every time you give into it, you sell a piece of your dignity for a coin of approval. At its root, chasing comes from fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being overlooked, fear of being alone. It springs from insecurity, from the suspicion that who you are is not enough. And so you reach outward, frantic to find someone who will stamp you as worthy. The Stoics warned against this trap. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Do you see what he meant? If you are constantly chasing the image of being wise in others' eyes, you will never actually become wise. Wisdom grows in silence, in humility, in the willingness to be mocked while you learn. To chase the appearance is to lose the reality. Consider the dynamic that unfolds when you chase. The one you pursue holds the power. You lower yourself, you adjust, you yield, you hope they will grant you what you lack. In doing so, you announce your dependence. Respect cannot flow to you in this posture, for respect belongs to equals, not to the desperate. Think of a river. When you chase after it, splashing and stumbling, you only stir the mud, but sit quietly on the bank, and the river flows toward you, clear and calm. Respect works the same way. It is not seized, it is drawn by gravity, the gravity of inner steadiness. The Stoics gave us examples. Cato the Younger walked barefoot in Rome, refusing to indulge in the fashions of the elite. People mocked him, but over time, they respected his unshakable consistency. He did not chase their approval, yet he gained something greater, their admiration for his courage. Contrast that with the flatterer, who bows and scrapes before the powerful, who laughs at jokes he despises, who wears whatever costume the crowd applauds. Such a man may receive momentary smiles, but behind his back he is despised. Chasing gives you attention, perhaps, but never respect. Think also of your own life. Have you ever noticed how the friend who never pressures you, who does not demand your time or affection, is the one you most enjoy being with? Or how the leader who does not clamor for recognition, but simply guides with steady hand, is the one you most trust? That is the difference between chasing and standing firm. One drains the soul, the other nourishes it. Respect is the fruit of the second. So, why does chasing fail? Because it reveals neediness, and neediness is weakness. In every age, in every culture, people are drawn to those who seem whole within themselves. This is why the Stoic rejects the chase. He knows it enslaves him to others, and he would rather die free in his soul than live as a slave to opinion. Respect cannot be begged into existence. It is born when you stop grasping and begin living from the fortress within. The Stoics saw the world with a different lens. They divided life into two realms, what is within our control and what is not. Beyond this simple division lies profound freedom. The opinions of others, the recognition of the crowd, the applause of a master, these belong to the realm of the external. They are not ours to command. To chase them is to chase the wind. But our thoughts, our judgments, our choices, these are within our control. And here lies the seat of true power. Respect, in the Stoic mind, is not something you seize by force, but something that flows naturally to the one who stands firm in his own domain. Indifference for the Stoic is not apathy, it is clarity. It is the realization that wealth, fame, beauty, and respect are neither good nor evil. They are neutral, and they matter only in how they are used. If they come to you, you use them with justice and temperance. If they do not, you remain untroubled. Marcus Aurelius, burdened with the empire of Rome, wrote to himself, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Do you see? Even an emperor knew he could not chase what was outside his command. He chose instead to master his response, and by mastering himself, he became the model of dignity. This indifference is not coldness, it is strength. Imagine two men. One craves recognition, the other is content in himself. The first bends his words, exaggerates his deeds, flatters endlessly. He becomes smaller in the eyes of others, for everyone sees the strings of his dependence. The second man speaks plainly. He neither brags nor diminishes himself. He carries his duties with quiet steadiness. He does not beg for notice, but his very composure draws it. Respect is gravity. It falls toward the one who stands immovable. This is why the Stoic lens of indifference is so powerful. When you cease to make respect your goal, when you treat it as neutral, you free yourself from its chains. And the irony is that only then does it come. Think of the great figures of history who embodied this. a general who endures loss without complaint, a philosopher who faces exile without bitterness, a friend who refuses to betray his conscience for popularity. These people did not demand respect. They barely spoke of it. Yet we admire them centuries later. Why? Because their inner fortress could not be shaken by opinion. They showed us what it looks like to live free, and freedom in every age inspires respect more than titles or wealth ever could. Now consider why chasing destroys the very respect you hope to gain. Chasing reveals desperation. It is a signal of emptiness, of a man who does not stand on his own foundation. People sense it at once. We are drawn to strength, and strength is quiet. Desperation is loud. Think of the man in a room who interrupts constantly, who laughs too hard, who boasts of his every deed. He is chasing admiration, and for a moment, some may give it to him. But true respect? It withers. In contrast, the man who listens more than he speaks, who holds himself with calm confidence, commands the room without lifting his voice. People may not cheer him, but they will look to him when the storm comes. Respect follows silence, not noise. Psychologically, chasing flips the natural order of power. To pursue relentlessly is to place yourself beneath. Others feel this imbalance and recoil. Respect requires equality, one soul recognizing the strength of another. But when you chase, you confess your weakness. Socially, it is the same. The sycophant who praises the powerful wins only contempt. The colleague who never sets boundaries is trampled. The lover who clings drives affection away. It is the same pattern in every sphere of life. Chasing breeds rejection because it exposes need. People trust most those who seem least in need of their trust. Nature itself teaches this lesson. Predators chase prey, but the strongest creatures often stand still, unafraid. The lioness waits in the tall grass, still and patient. The eagle circles high above, not frantic, but watchful. The oak tree never bends itself to beg for sunlight, yet all around it life gathers in its shade. To chase is to act like prey. To stand still in calm strength is to act like the mountain, unmoved by the winds. Respect does not flow to the frantic. It settles upon the steadfast. Look at the arenas of modern life. In business, the leader who constantly reminds others of his authority loses it. The one who quietly takes responsibility, who makes decisions with fairness and courage, is the one the team respects. In relationships, the partner who clings tightly suffocates affection, while the one who offers space, who stands firm in their own worth, is valued deeply. On social media, the one who begs for followers with hollow stunts may gather numbers, but not respect. The one who speaks authentically, who remains true to his values, builds a following that lasts. Every example repeats the same truth. To chase is to repel. To stand still is to attract. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Respect is not won by performance, but by alignment with truth. When you chase, you abandon truth for the sake of appearance. You become an actor in someone else's play, and actors are applauded, yes. But when the curtain falls, they are forgotten. To live by truth, regardless of applause, is to plant roots deep into the ground. Others may not notice at first, but over time they cannot deny the strength of the tree that does not bend to please the wind. This is why the Stoic never chases. He knows that respect is not granted to the beggar of attention. It belongs to the one who respects himself enough to need nothing more. The Stoic knows that all true respect begins within. Before a single person can admire you, you must first command your own esteem. This is the foundation, the inner fortress that no storm can breach. If you walk through life despising yourself, begging for the recognition of others, you will always be at their mercy. But if you cultivate self-respect, if you live in harmony with your principles, then even if the whole world scorns you, you will not fall. Cato once said, "I would rather people ask why there is no statue of me than why there is one." He meant that he would not bow his life to the pursuit of approval, for he already possessed something greater, the respect of his own conscience. How do you build this fortress of self-respect? The Stoics left us practices. Begin with daily reflection. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself each night, testing his actions against the standard of virtue. He did not excuse himself for his failures, but he did not despair either. He treated life as training, a gymnasium for the soul. Each morning he prepared for insult, betrayal, hardship, reminding himself that such things are part of the human lot. This steady discipline prevented him from being surprised or shaken, and in doing so, he cultivated dignity. Respect, after all, is not built on grand gestures, but on the daily mastery of small choices. Another practice is voluntary discomfort. Seneca would sometimes sleep on the floor, eat coarse food, wear rough garments, and then ask himself, "Is this what I feared?" By stripping away luxury, he learned that his worth did not depend on externals. A man who can be content with bread and water is a man who cannot be bribed or broken. Self-respect grows when you prove to yourself that you can stand on your own, free of props and praise. Once you have done this, you no longer need to chase the world's respect. You know that you are enough. Consider also the power of boundaries. A person who respects himself does not give his time and soul cheaply. He says no calmly and firmly when a request violates his values. He does not overextend to please, nor does he betray his principles for comfort. Cato again provides an example. When Rome demanded he change his vote to satisfy the mob, he refused, even at the cost of his popularity. He knew that to betray his conscience was to lose something greater than respect. It was to lose himself. In the end, his enemies hated him, but they could not deny their admiration. For self-respect, lived with courage, always radiates outward. This is the paradox the Stoics understood so well. By not caring for respect, you end up attracting it. The one who clutches and begs for recognition repels it. The one who releases the need for it, who lives with quiet integrity, draws it. Diogenes, though not a Stoic but a Cynic, embodied this principle vividly. When Alexander the Great offered him anything he desired, Diogenes replied, "Stand out of my sunlight." He had no need of kings, and for this very reason, even the most powerful man in the world admired him. It was not arrogance, but freedom. He revealed to Alexander that the truly rich man is not the one who commands armies, but the one who requires nothing. That kind of independence inspires respect far deeper than flattery ever could. We see this paradox even today. Think of the person who enters a room without the need to prove themselves. They do not dominate the conversation, nor do they shrink away. They simply are. Their calm is magnetic. People lean toward them without knowing why. It is because they radiate sufficiency. Contrast this with the one who constantly boasts, interrupts, exaggerates. Their need for attention drains the room. They may seize the spotlight, but not the respect. Respect clings only to the one who is not chasing it. The Stoic was careful to distinguish between indifference and arrogance. To be indifferent is to release the grip of desire for external things. To be arrogant is to exalt yourself over others. The Stoic does not strut. He does not sneer. He does not proclaim, "I need no one." That is pride. Instead, he simply stands, free of need, open to connection, but not enslaved to it. This balance is what draws respect. For no one admires arrogance, but all admire the man who is at peace with himself, who neither begs nor boasts. Respect flows to the Stoic because he has aligned himself with virtue, not because he has sought it. His power lies in his freedom from opinion, his calm in crisis, his refusal to betray his principles. This is the paradox. By not caring, you gain. By standing still, you draw others to you. By ceasing to chase, you become the one who is followed. And this truth, once seen, changes everything. It liberates you from the exhausting chase. It teaches you to live for what is truly yours to control, your character, your choices, your soul. In that freedom, you will find a respect deeper than applause, a respect that even silence cannot erase. Respect, in the Stoic mind, is not earned through charm, cleverness, or manipulation. It is the natural response to virtue lived out with consistency. The four cardinal virtues, wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, form the weight of character that draws the gaze of others without a word being spoken. When a man embodies these, he does not need to demand respect. His very life commands it. Respect gravitates toward virtue as surely as a flame draws the eyes in darkness. Wisdom is the first virtue. It is not mere knowledge, but the practical discernment to choose rightly in the chaos of life. People trust those who see clearly, who can separate appearance from reality, who do not panic when illusions crumble. Marcus Aurelius, leading Rome through plague and war, did not posture as all-knowing. He confessed his doubts to himself, wrestled with his fears, yet returned always to reason and principle. His wisdom gave Rome stability when everything else trembled. When you live by wisdom, you become a lighthouse. You need not wave a flag for attention. Those lost at sea find you because of the light you give off. Courage is the second virtue, and it too commands respect. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. When a person stands firm in danger, when they hold to principle in the face of ridicule, others cannot help but admire them. Seneca, facing forced suicide under Nero's command, drank the poison calmly, comforting his friends even as his own life ebbed away. He did not chase admiration. He met death with courage, and that very courage has won him respect across centuries. People are drawn to courage because it shows them what they wish they could be, unshaken in the storm. Justice is the third virtue, and it inspires loyalty. People respect those who act fairly, who treat others not as tools, but as equals. Marcus wrote often of the duty to act justly, no matter what others did. Justice is what keeps power from corruption, authority from cruelty. A leader who pursues justice rather than applause wins a deeper, quieter kind of respect, the kind that lasts long after titles fade. To be just is to anchor yourself not in what is popular, but in what is right. The world may not always reward you, but it will remember you. Temperance, the fourth virtue, draws reverence. In a culture of excess, the one who masters his appetites stands apart. The man who can enjoy wine without drowning in it, who can wield wealth without being owned by it, who can taste success without being consumed by pride. This man commands respect. The Stoic practiced temperance not by denying joy, but by ensuring joy never enslaved him. In restraint lies strength, and others sense it. They see a person not blown by every impulse, but guided by principle. Such steadiness commands admiration without ever chasing it. These four virtues form the weight of character. They are silent authority. You need not demand recognition when you embody them. People will grant it, even if reluctantly, because virtue shines through. It is not a matter of performance, but of being. Wisdom makes you a guide, courage a model, justice a protector, temperance a pillar. Together, they draw respect as naturally as the sun draws life from the earth. And so the Stoic teaches, do not chase respect, chase virtue. Respect will follow, whether you desire it or not. When we carry this into the modern world, the relevance becomes clear. Today, respect is often confused with popularity, with followers, with noise. But true respect remains what it has always been, the silent acknowledgement of integrity. The modern Stoic need not wear a toga or sit in the Senate. He may be a business leader, a parent, a teacher, a student. What matters is not the stage, but the steadiness of character on it. In business, respect belongs not to the loudest in the boardroom, but to the one who steadies the ship in crisis. When markets crash, when tempers flare, people look not to the boastful, but to the one who remains calm, fair, and clear-headed. That is Stoic leadership. It is wisdom guiding decisions, courage facing risks, justice considering all voices, and temperance restraining greed. Leaders who embody this attract loyalty because people know they can trust them. In relationships, the modern Stoic earns respect not by control or desperation, but by boundaries and steadiness. A partner who respects themselves, who gives love freely but does not beg for it, becomes more attractive, not less. Chasing breeds suffocation, but self-possession breeds admiration. Respect in love comes from being whole in yourself, not from clinging to another. The Stoic does not say, "I need you to complete me." He says, "I walk beside you whole, and together we can be greater." This quiet strength inspires devotion far more than desperation ever could. In friendships, the Stoic is not the one who panders, but the one who speaks truth with kindness. Respect flows to those who can be trusted to be honest, even when it stings. Friends may not always enjoy hearing the truth, but they will respect the one who speaks it without malice. To flatter is easy, to be a mirror is hard, and yet it is the mirror that earns respect because it proves loyalty to the good, not to the ego. Even in the digital age, the lesson holds. Social media is a theater of chasing, likes, shares, applause. Many sell themselves cheaply for a moment of attention. But those who remain authentic, who speak what they believe, who do not bow to every trend, slowly gather true respect. Their following may be smaller at first, but it is stronger. People can sense integrity, even through a screen. Respect clings to authenticity, not to performance. The modern Stoic lives in the same tension as the ancients, the temptation to chase and the call to stand firm. But the tools are the same. Daily reflection, mastery of desire, courage in adversity, justice in dealings, temperance in pleasures. These make a person magnetic in any age. Respect today is not different from respect 2,000 years ago. It is always the shadow of virtue. And so the Stoic does not need to adapt his core principles to the century. He simply lives them, and respect, as ever, will follow without chase. There is a power in silence that words can never rival. The Stoic understood this. To speak little, but to let one's deeds thunder. This is a mark of true strength. In a world that rewards noise, silence becomes a form of defiance, a proof that you do not need to chase attention. Respect follows those who conserve their words, for restraint reveals mastery. Anyone can boast. Anyone can argue, anyone can fill the air with sound, but the one who listens, who chooses speech carefully, who is unhurried in reply, this one is respected. For people sense that behind the quiet is thought, and behind the thought is control. Noise is often the language of the insecure. The man who fears being forgotten shouts the loudest. The one who doubts his own worth interrupts, explains, defends. His constant words betray his inner turbulence. But the one who is silent, who lets his actions reveal his heart, inspires a different reaction. Others lean in, wondering what he thinks. His presence commands attention without demand. Seneca once advised, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." Silence is one way of showing that power. It says, "I am not ruled by the need to be heard. I choose when to speak, and when I do, it will matter." Think of a battlefield. Who is respected more, the general who screams at every soldier, or the one who gives few commands, but commands that are decisive, clear, and followed with conviction? Think of a conversation. Who is respected more, the one who never stops speaking of himself, or the one who listens deeply, asks simple questions, and when he finally speaks, offers words that cut to the heart. Silence is not emptiness, it is concentration. It is the sign of a soul that is not chasing, but waiting, measuring, mastering itself. Respect always gathers at its feet. The Stoic lived this principle. Epictetus, once a slave, did not rise by flattery or chatter. He spoke truth plainly when asked, but he also knew when to remain silent. His silence under cruelty taught as much as his lectures. Marcus Aurelius, though emperor, wrote more to himself than to others. His words were private reflections, not public speeches. Yet those words, born in silence, have outlasted the declarations of countless kings. Noise fades, silence endures. Respect belongs not to the loud, but to the steady. Trials are the forge of respect. It is not comfort that wins admiration, but endurance. When life strikes hard, when storms batter the soul, the way you stand determines how others see you. The Stoics knew this well. They did not seek suffering, but they did not flee from it either. They embraced fate, amor fati, as a teacher. They believed that every hardship was an opportunity to display virtue, and in doing so, they discovered a truth. People respect not those who have it easy, but those who face difficulty with dignity. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations not in palaces, but in military camps, surrounded by war and plague. He endured betrayal, loss, exhaustion, yet his writings radiate calm. He never cursed the gods, never begged for pity. He held himself to the standard of justice, courage, and temperance, even when the world fell apart. That endurance has earned him a place in the hearts of millions, long after his empire crumbled. Respect is born in the crucible of trial, not in the gardens of ease. Imagine a prisoner who suffers in silence, refusing to betray his comrades, keeping his soul intact though his body is broken. His captors may despise him, but they cannot help respecting him. Or think of a mother who faces illness with grace, refusing to let bitterness rule her heart, showing her children strength even in weakness. Her quiet courage plants respect in their souls forever. Trials are the measure of a person. They strip away the mask, and what remains is either dignity or despair. Those who choose dignity, no matter the cost, command respect without asking. Respect does not cling to the one who complains at every discomfort, who collapses under every burden. It follows the one who bears weight silently, who shoulders responsibility with calm. The Stoic knew that suffering is inevitable, but disgrace is optional. You cannot always control what befalls you, but you can always control how you meet it. That is where respect is forged, in the choice to endure without bitterness, to act justly even when wronged, to stand firm when the ground gives way beneath you. The lesson is timeless. Whether in the ancient world or today, respect flows not to those who live in ease, but to those who suffer well. People admire success, but they revere endurance. A storm can sweep away possessions and titles, but it cannot erase the memory of one who stood tall in its midst. Trials do not diminish respect, they deepen it. And so the Stoic welcomes them, not with joy, but with resolve, knowing that in every hardship lies a chance to display virtue, and where virtue shines, respect gathers. Respect is impossible without boundaries. A Stoic understands that to live without clear lines is to invite disrespect. If you let others trample your time, your values, your dignity, then you cannot expect them to see you as worthy of respect. They will treat you as you have taught them to treat you. The Stoic shield is the ability to say no without anger, to hold firm without cruelty. Boundaries are not walls of pride, they are the gates of self-respect. When you guard your soul with calm firmness, people sense that there are lines they cannot cross, and they respect you for it. Epictetus knew this well. Born a slave, he could not control his master's orders or his physical freedom. but he controlled the boundaries of his mind. He refused to flatter, refused to let another man's opinion govern his soul. He would rather be beaten than betray himself. In this refusal lay his strength. He showed that while others could bind his body, they could not trespass upon his will. That invisible shield was his dignity, and because he held it firmly, even those with power over him could not help but recognize his authority. In daily life, boundaries are expressed in countless small ways. It is the refusal to engage in gossip. It is the calm rejection of a dishonest deal. It is the decision to guard your morning for reflection rather than letting the noise of the world invade. When you practice this kind of firmness, people may grumble, but inwardly they respect you. They see that you are not desperate for approval. You will not sell your soul cheaply. A person without boundaries chases acceptance and loses respect. A person with boundaries may lose popularity, but they gain something far more lasting: dignity in the eyes of others, and most importantly, in their own eyes. Practical boundaries require no drama. You need not shout, argue, or explain endlessly. The Stoic simply says no once, clearly, and without malice. This is strength. Anger reveals insecurity. Calm firmness reveals command. Those who can guard their inner and outer lives with composure project an authority that chasing can never achieve. Respect belongs to those who know their lines and defend them with quiet steadiness. Closely tied to boundaries is freedom from opinion. The Stoic teaches that most of our suffering comes not from events, but from our judgments about them. And nowhere is this more evident than in the tyranny of reputation. We long to be liked, admired, thought of as wise or attractive. Yet the more we hunger for opinion, the more we become its slaves. The Stoic breaks these chains. He understands that reputation is an external, beyond his control. It is not his to chase. And by refusing to care, paradoxically, he gains the very respect others exhaust themselves trying to win. Marcus Aurelius marveled at this paradox. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. To live for the crowd is to betray yourself. You begin to act not from principle, but from performance. You ask not, what is right, but what will they think? And once you have given them that power, you are no longer free. But the Stoic, caring only for virtue, acts from inner conviction. If the crowd approves, fine. If the crowd condemns, fine. His compass is not their applause, but the good. And it is this very indifference that inspires true respect. Consider the artist who creates only what is fashionable. His work pleases for a season, then vanishes. Contrast him with the one who creates from truth, who speaks what he believes, even when it is not applauded. At first he may be mocked, but in time, respect gathers around his integrity. The same is true in every sphere. The teacher who grades fairly, though students resent him. The leader who refuses corruption, though colleagues scorn him. The friend who tells hard truths, though it costs popularity. These people are respected because they will not bend to opinion. Their integrity is their fortress, and people, deep down, admire those who cannot be bought. Freedom from opinion does not mean you ignore counsel or refuse to listen. The Stoic listens, considers, and weighs advice, but he does not let the shifting winds of reputation dictate his course. He knows that to chase reputation is to be forever running, forever enslaved. By letting go of that chase, he becomes still. And in that stillness, respect finds him. It always has, and it always will. For respect clings not to the performer, but to the one who dares to be real, unmoved by the fickle applause of the crowd. Respect is not something you wake up one day and demand. It is the slow harvest of daily discipline. The Stoic knew this well, and so he crafted his life around practices that nurtured dignity. Each morning, Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that he would meet people who were meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, and selfish. This was not pessimism, it was preparation. By expecting human frailty, he armed his mind against surprise and anger, and in meeting these people with patience and calm, he built a character that commanded respect. The daily practice begins at dawn. Before you face the world, you must order your soul. A few minutes of stillness, reminding yourself of what is in your control and what is not, can change the whole day. If you begin with clarity, the insults and praises of others will not shake you. If you fail to prepare, every small slight will knock you off balance, and respect will slip through your fingers. The Stoic does not leave his mind to chance. He trains it as a warrior trains his body. In the evening, there is reflection. Seneca advised examining the day. When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I have done and said. This habit is the soil in which self-respect grows. Each night you ask, did I live according to virtue? Did I act justly? Did I master my desires? If you failed, you note it without despair and resolve to do better tomorrow. If you succeeded, you take quiet satisfaction, not pride. Over time, this practice molds the soul into something solid, and respect becomes its natural companion. There are other exercises. Voluntary discomfort keeps the body and mind strong. A day without luxury, a walk in the cold, a meal of simple bread. These train you not to be owned by comfort. Restraint in speech teaches you to value silence over chatter. Choosing not to boast, not to complain, not to gossip, builds an authority greater than words. Each of these daily acts seems small, but together they form the fabric of a life that radiates dignity. Respect is not pursued in a single grand gesture. It is built in thousands of quiet choices. The Stoic lives these choices, and respect follows as a shadow follows the body. In the end, respect outlives the Stoic. The legacy of those who chased applause is thin. Their names are forgotten, their deeds vanish into dust. But the legacy of those who lived with integrity remains. Marcus Aurelius still draws reverence, not because of his title as emperor, but because of his words and his example. Seneca, despite his compromises, is still read because his wisdom, sharpened in suffering, carries weight. Even Epictetus, a slave who owned nothing, still commands respect because he lived free in soul. Their contemporaries who sought favor, who flattered emperors, who clamored for statues. Where are they now? Forgotten. Respect belongs to the virtuous, and it endures beyond the grave. The lesson is clear. If you chase respect, you may gain noise for a moment, but you will be forgotten in silence. If you live with dignity, you may be mocked in your time, but you will be remembered long after. Legacy is not built on applause, it is built on principle. The Stoic lived in such a way that centuries could not erase his presence. His words still guide, his example still speaks. This is the true reward of a life not wasted on chasing. Respect that outlives you is the highest respect, and it can only be won by refusing to demand it. To live in virtue is to write your legacy in stone, while others write theirs in sand. When the waves come, only one remains. The Stoic never chases, for he knows that the chase itself is slavery. Respect is not a prize to be seized, but the natural shadow of a virtuous life. When you live with wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, you need not beg for recognition. It comes on its own, often when you least expect it. To spend your life hunting for approval is to exhaust yourself on illusions. To stand firm, rooted in principle, is to let respect walk toward you. This is the paradox that has always baffled the restless soul. The harder you reach, the further respect runs. The moment you stop chasing, the moment you center yourself in what is within your control, respect arrives unbidden. Imagine the oak tree. It does not stretch itself anxiously toward every passing wind. It does not chase the sun across the sky. It simply stands, firm in its place, and by its very stillness becomes a shelter for all who draw near. Birds nest in its branches, travelers rest in its shade, storms rage against it, and yet it remains. Respect is like this. It does not belong to the frantic, but to the steadfast. People look at the tree and say, "Here is strength." So it is with the Stoic. By holding steady, he inspires reverence without ever demanding it. Think of your own life. How often have you weakened yourself by chasing? How many times have you bent your words to please only to feel hollow afterward? How often have you sacrificed principle for the applause of those who did not matter? Each time, you sold your dignity for a cheap coin. But when you have stood your ground, when you have spoken the truth, though it cost you, when you have borne hardship without complaint, did you not feel a different kind of strength? Did you not sense that others saw it too, even in silence? That is respect in its purest form, not sought, but earned by being. The Stoic way is not an easy one. It demands that you release the craving for reputation, that you root yourself in character instead of applause. But in doing so, you free yourself. You are no longer tossed by the winds of opinion. You walk your path with clarity, and those who see you may not always applaud, but they will respect you. And long after the noise fades, that respect will endure. To chase is to lose. To stand still in virtue is to gain. So take this to heart. Stop chasing. Stop begging. Stop bending yourself for a respect that flees when pursued. Instead, cultivate your soul. Live in alignment with virtue. Set your boundaries. Embrace silence. Endure trials with dignity. Be free of opinion. In time, you will find that respect is no longer something you hunger for. It has become the natural echo of the life you live. And when you are gone, your legacy will not be applause that died with the crowd, but respect that endures as long as your example is remembered. Stand still, and respect will walk to you.